Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. I love to have people on that are good friends and people I've known for a long time, and they've done so well in the horse business and so much for the horse business, and this certainly is one of them. Terry Finley, President and CEO of Point Thoroughbreds. When it all began for him in 1991, he had one claimer and one client, and now he is the largest thoroughbred partnership group owner in the whole world, over 500 clients. I'm not sure the number of horses. We'll find out in a minute. And I think he's also the toughest guy in all of horse racing, a retired Army Ranger captain and a graduate, of course, of the U.S. Military Academy, hence the name West Point Thoroughbreds. And Terry joins me now from Saratoga, New York. Terry, my friend, thank you for being on.
Good to talk to you, Kenny. Really is.
So I guess the question many people ask of you, how do you go from being a West Point graduate, an Army Ranger, to having a horse group that's the biggest in the world right now with over 500 clients and growing?
I'll break that down a couple ways, Kenny. One is I've always loved horses. And as you know, if you want to survive and do any bit of good in this business, you've got to love horses. That's your start. And then you put that in with a lot of passion, not a little bit of passion, and then help, people who support you and, believe in you, even when you were at a stage in your company's existence where they really didn't have a reason to support you. And you put all those things together, and we're in the greatest country on earth, the United States of America, and magic happens. So I'm very blessed, and I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but it is, man. It's just a great ride, and this business is so unbelievable, and I really owe just about everything I have in my professional life to the horses and the people in the horse racing business.
When you started out, was there a time when maybe some of your West Point friends said, "Are you nuts? You're going into horse racing? That's a dicey proposition, Terry. No matter how smart you are or how hard you work, there's been some really talented, smart guys that belly it up in the horse business." Did you ever have any doubt at all, or ever have friends that say, maybe I ought to back off that?
Funny you say that, Kenny. I was at my 5-year reunion at school. That was on 1991. And we're at a table, and that's exactly what one guy in particular, who's a good friend of mine, was and is now, Tony Guzzi. And he said, "What are you doing going in the horse racing business?" And actually, Tony had just got accepted into the MBA program up at Harvard. And I said, "Listen, not everybody can get into Harvard in the B school up there." And we all kind of chuckled. And now Tony is the CEO of a publicly traded company, a company called MCOR. And he keeps telling me he's going to get in the horse business. So I tell him I've been hearing that for 30 years. But yeah, that did happen. But, it's interesting. And we talked a little bit about it. That's the beautiful thing about the military academy is you look at the people that you went to school with, and they're all over the world. And a lot of them are doing really, really great things. And I'm really proud to call all those guys and girls classmates and friends.
Including one of your classmates who I think was the top of the class, one Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State.
Mike was a star from day one, and it's pretty darn hard, to be the number one guy of it. West. Well, it's hard to be number one in anything, right? But when you throw in the military obligation and the physical fitness issues and all that, to still be able to beat and to be at the top of the heap amongst a bunch of alpha dogs, that said something. And of course, now 35 years later, he's all over the world as a Secretary of State. And I dare say doing a great job, but I'm biased.
Well, as you should be. And maybe a future investor in West Point Thoroughbreds. Just throwing it out there.
After no Derby win, I invited him to the Preakness. And I think he had to go to China the day before. I'm talking about right after we won the Derby in 2017. He was the head of the CIA. so he couldn't come. But I'm sure, I don't know. I guess there have been some rumors about him, with a vision of 2024. So I don't know. Maybe I might be the ambassador to Ireland. I might get all the Coolmore boys a tax break or something, Kenny.
Always thinking ahead. That's why Terry Finley, the president and CEO of West Point Thoroughbreds, has put together the largest partnership group of thoroughbred owners, ownership anywhere in the world. And, always dreaming, of course. You had interest in that horse. It won the Derby in 2017. Along those lines, obviously that's a huge moment. Was there a moment and a horse, Terry, that kind of jumped out that you feel maybe helped turn it around for West Point Thoroughbreds when you were still building your clientele?
There were a couple of them. Kenny, I remember in 2007, we had a really good year. We had not won a grade one. We had been in the business a long, since 91 and really in earnest. 97 is when we started to get a little bit of of our mojo. And so in 2007, we had a couple horses that in the span of like 50 days, we went from not having won a grade one to 5 grade ones.
Yeah, I remember.
And so it was just kind of a magical time. So, Dream Rush, who turned out to be a really, really good broodmare, and another colt by the name of Flashy Bull, who was our first grade one winner. So, it is about the horses, but I'm remiss if I don't bring up the partners, because, you think about it. Think about how impactful the partnership, the model has been in the last, 15 years. I really don't even like to think about where we would be if, Cott Campbell hadn't invented or created the partnership model in the late 60s. And he never wavered, he never wavered, and he just kept pushing forward. And I understand when you read about, and he talked about, he would come to Saratoga and they would kind of look at him sideways, all the blue, quote unquote, all the blue bloods. And I'm sure it wasn't easy, because no one likes to be in the position where they think they're being looked down upon, but Cott stuck to it. And I can't say enough about Cott and his wife Ann, and all that they did. Look at all the partnerships and all the people who are enjoying the sport as owners as a direct result of Cott Campbell. So I'll give him kudos.
Yeah, we mentioned the late Cott Campbell, and he did. He took a bold move with this syndication. Wayne Lucas was on our show a couple of weeks ago, Terry, and he said that that's been the biggest change he thinks in the last 30 years of horse racing is syndication. You don't have the Eugene Klein anymore necessarily, or the Bob and Beverly Lewis, the individual owner, or the individual farms that come up and have great winning streaks, or certainly like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, dominating at times. That syndication has been the biggest change in horse racing. And I would say, and you certainly are a huge part of that movement, I kind of agree with him. Now it's very rare to see a single owner of a great horse out there. Or, a single owner of even some claiming horses out there. You just don't see that very much.
No, that's true, Kenny. Well, so two asides. One is I just finished the book by Wayne Lucas. Really, really good. Sermon on the Mount is the name of the book.
He's like Moses, isn't he? Yes.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I just, usually you get those books and he signed it. I don't know, I think we're at Gulfstream. But I'm not kidding. You got to read that. I'll send you a copy. I bought a bunch of copies for our clients. I just was enthralled because it's an easy read, take about an hour and a half to get through. And also, ironically, I was at the Spring Street Deli about 2 hours ago. I looked up, I was looking for a breakfast sandwich, and you're not going to believe what breakfast sandwich I got. I got the D. Wayne Lucas egg sandwich. So for me to be on your podcast and for you to bring up Wayne Lucas, very ironic.
Hey, what is the Wayne Lucas sandwich?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in there.
I can imagine. I was going to say it couldn't be just plain egg with Lucas' name on it.
Oh, come on now. Come on. He, not at all. You got some tomatoes and other stuff. But yeah, so I will tell you one of the things, because I know even today I hear people Yeah, they just, grudgingly are accepting them. But think about this. Even people who are very wealthy, they like to be in a position where they can tell their friends at the golf club, yes, I made money. Mm-hmm. And the partnership model has evolved in large part due to Saul Kuman, in the sense that you can get a good horse. We all know how hard they are to come by. You can get a good horse now, and we can take some money off the table, and we don't have to be in a position where we give up control or we have to sell the horse entirely. So, the liquidity in our business now is, I think, very, very good and very, very productive, because I don't care who you are, if you have a shot to take some money off the table and to show a profit, that's a positive. So I don't think people talk about that a whole lot, but it's very good.
Now, as president and CEO of West Point Thoroughbreds, I come to Terry Finley and say, I got X number of dollars. Is there a minimum that you have to get into West Point Thoroughbreds? Or, I imagine you have a range of clients from a little money to a lot of money that invest in you.
Yes, absolutely. So it's about 10,000. It's about 10,000 would be the minimum, but sometimes it's a little bit less, and then other times, this in March at OBS we bought a $2 million horse. We didn't take the whole piece of the colt. Nice Tappet colt out of a Grade 1 winning mare, and a New York bred. So I hope we can win the New York bred A, other than at some point in the future with him. But but it spans the globe in terms of investment, but people really don't care in the sense that once they're in and they get into the West Point family and others, there are a lot of really good partnerships out there, a lot more today than at any time I can remember. And with the right outlook, it doesn't matter if you spend $500,000 or $20,000. That's part of that's your horse, and that's your team and your franchise. And it's the only sport in the world that gives people a chance to really get involved and to take an ownership stake. And, I'd like to think as an industry, we've taken advantage of that, but there's still a long way to go. We have a lot of upside as we expose our business to more people and show them you can get on the other side of the velvet rope in our business without having to mortgage the future and your kids and your whole lifestyle.
How many horses do you have right now, roughly, Terry?
We have our head count is 92 horses, Kenny.
It's a long way from that one claimer, isn't it?
It is, but it really has been a labor of love. We as we tell people, like we're not, if you're looking to price shop, we're not it, because what we build in, like, first and foremost, probably about 10 years ago, we all got together and said, what do we need to do to protect the horses after they're finished with their careers? And one of the things that we're really probably the most proud of is we, in essence, have a 401k fund, right, for our horses. So I'd like to think that when they drop the hammer at the auction and they know that we bought them, they have a big smile on their face, because they're going to carry the black and gold.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they're assured that they're going to have a good life and they're going to live out their days in comfort. We're going to do our best to try to get them into a new career, riding, eventing, or whatever. But, and look, I think that we were part of it, but the industry about 10 years ago really, really started on a path to do a better job. And we have. We should be very proud of what we've done on the retirement side. But there's still more to do. And one of the big things, obviously, that's helped us is the fact that our full crop has gone from 36 or 37,000 all the way down to about 20. Yeah. So there's been an inherent advantage in there just in that 10 years on that side of the equation. But we do a better job. And I know, we could talk for a couple hours about the situation on the West Coast. But, once you're in this business, you realize, right, there's nobody that lasts in this business without an enduring love and, the intention to care for our horses. Like that's a given. Now, we got some issues to clear up and to work on, and we got some things with our culture to change, but that passion to take care of our horses is totally prevalent in our business.
Well, it's always been that way with you. When I first met you, which was sometime in the 90s, you hadn't been in the business long. Remember when we first met?
Yeah, I do.
And, so we go back, good gracious, almost as long as you've been in this business. When I was doing some stuff with ESPN is when I first met you, I believe. And, I've watched your career and really, and I've always, what I've always admired about Terry Finley, and not because he's on this show right now, but that you talked about taking care of the horses after they're racing. And I think the fact is it's been that integrity that you have brought. Obviously, I think a lot of it, that U.S. military academy background that you've brought to West Point Thoroughbreds, that grows the business from one investor to over 500 in 20-some years.
It's magic, right? And it's I'd like to think we were at the right place at the right time, and just as the partnership model took off. But in our business, one of the other things I talk to people, this is all we do. We don't pinhook horses. We don't breed, aside from one or two a year. And so I think that's, if anything, I've learned, if you really want to be at the top of the heap, you got to take dead aim on what your objective is. And, that objective has to be a singular objective and not, two or three different things. And now that's just for me. And I know other organizations and other people do a good job. I like to tell people, look, when you have me and you have our team, we're thinking about your horses and your investment, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we've got nothing else. And I think that's been a really significant part of our growth and the increase in the size of our company is, because this is what we live, eat, and sleep. And I quite frankly wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, and to show you what kind of guy Terry Finley is, by the way, my father, during the Korean War, actually taught cadets. Had sent him to school for this. He taught cadets how to fuel in combat, so you wouldn't get dirt in the tank, or you wouldn't, in a Jeep or whatever was out there in the field. And he taught in the summer at Camp Buckner, which is just outside of the military academy, if you've ever been in the West Point area. And so we stayed at the Thayer Inn, and Terry helped set me up, and we went on. We had a little private tour the day before, and then went on more, and my dad was showing me all the places. And we went to Camp Buckner, where he used to write love letters to my mother, my dad Reginald, and that was just so cool. And if you have a chance to go to West Point sometime, just go. The history, along with the beauty, I don't think there's any campus like it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I remember that, and I do remember, and you just try to, if you have the resources in life and you have the ability, like your dad's still, he's still with us. He's 90 years old. You said he's incredible, and he just is an inspiration to people all around them. So, that's what I tell the younger people, especially in our business. If you have a chance to do something special, do it. Right? Because you never know, and you got to pay things forward. And I know plenty of people did good things and really nice things for me early in my life. And, I think we're both of the age where you really start to grasp it, instead of just turning inward, you got to turn outward. You got to help. You got to, the world needs people to make things happen and to do good things. And I'd like to think that every day I'm trying to be one of those people, and as we all are,
Well, you certainly continue to do it in the horse racing business, and if people want to get in touch with you, it's pretty easy to do. Go to the West Point Thoroughbreds website, and you can get in touch with Terry Finley personally. I mean, that's pretty much sums it up, doesn't it, Terry? You want to buy a horse, you want to get interested, they can actually talk to you. They don't have to go through the chain of command, no pun intended with the military background, by the way.
They could talk to this old retired captain, and it was funny. It was ironic, Kenny. I had a guy who served in the Vietnam War. He worked at the Blood Horse, and it was probably back in like '93. And he said, "Hey, I just came out of a meeting, and I brought your name up. They got this a new thing called the World Wide Web and a website, and I don't know anything about it, but you might want to talk to the lady who just took over the job." And anyway, so interestingly, we had the first websites in the whole business, and we used to fax in our updates for our horses. I think we had 6 or 8 horses at that time, but just look at the website and the impact of the online aspect of the horse racing business. It's really, really cool to think that's an area again that I think we have a lot of upside with overall in our industry. And look, this game, I know we've taken a lot of arrows, especially in the last 6 months, but you feel the electricity and the energy at Saratoga and Del Mar, and you realize, man, this is a special, special business overall.
And a special guy is Terry Finley, President and CEO of West Point Thoroughbreds. My friend, thanks for being on, and come back. Come back and visit anytime.
I definitely will. I know you're talking to Todd Pletcher, who I'm a huge fan of, and keep up the great work, and congratulations on your podcast, Kenny. Well done.
All right, Terry. We'll talk again soon. Terry Finley, President and CEO of West Point Thoroughbreds. More coming up here on the Horse Racing Show.